The Walz.
Gentleman from Minnesota is recognized for such time as he may consume.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the gentleman and the chairman for bringing this bill to the floor. More importantly, I thank you both for your unwavering defense of this nation in smart policy and an unwavering commitment to make sure we get it right. I, like my colleagues and millions of other Americans, spent Monday at Memorial Day observances. That's a day we give thanks to those brave patriots who gave the supreme sacrifice so we could all live in freedom. But as the gentleman from Mississippi also said, it's also a time to think of the responsibility we have for those who served and come back. Our responsibility to our veterans is our nation's highest moral responsibility. After years of war, we have millions of returning veterans support. This piece of legislation helps us keep a promise to those brave warriors. As you heard from my colleagues, the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act was passed by this Congress, a smart piece of legislation in 1994. Very simple. It says if you serve this nation in uniform, you will not be disadvantaged in your civilian sector job. You will have prompt reemployment when that service is done, and you will not be discriminated against because of current or past military service. It's keeping that commitment. If you put your life on the line, you put your health on the line, you shouldn't have to sacrifice your career progression against your peers just because you are willing to serve this nation. That piece of legislation was also very clear also. The federal government should be a model employer. And also, as the gentleman from Mississippi stated, TSA has a very important job of securing this nation. They have done a wonderful job of hiring veterans. The issue at hand here is asking TSA to abide by the same rules as countless other agencies have. There is not a police force, a firefighting force, a school, or a private employer that hasn't sent a guardsman or a reservist off to do duty. They've had to change schedules and bring them back. In many small towns in my district, when you get a call up for the National Guard unit, most of the police department is gone with them. They've figured out how to do this, and they've done it by abiding by USERRA when they've came back home and welcomed them back. It's absolutely unconscionable that TSA wouldn't, and as the gentleman, Mr. Stearns from Florida, noted, they say they're already complying with most of the regulations. They've had time to adjust to this. We need to make sure at a time of high unemployment against our veterans that we, of all people, the federal government, throws up no barriers in front of them, but welcomes them back, replaces them in their jobs, and moves them forward. That's not only morally the right thing to do, that's the right thing to do for national defense. These are our best and brightest willing to put their lives on the line. I want them at the front lines at our airports and ports and other places, and we should get them back into it. So I want to thank these two gentlemen for their unwavering work, also the chairman of the VA, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Filner, and as was stated earlier, an absolute champion of veterans' rights, Mr. Bill Arakis, who is the original co-sponsor of this. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman from New York.
Speaker, I have no further speakers.
Gentleman from Mississippi.